The world is full of countless series of games. Their contents and genres are so widespread, with some series following one type of game, maintaining a core identity, while others reach to so many different corners of the gaming world that one game in the series can be totally different from the next. One such series is the well-loved franchise Castlevania. Castlevania has many different types of games, from classic platformers, 3D action adventures, and of course, Metroidvanias. Because of this, I reckon if you gather up 100 people and ask each what their favorite Castlevania game is, you'd get a good list of unique answers, and all of them would definitely be valid answers. Well, probably. If you asked me which my favorite Castlevania game is, I'd contribute to the tally of Castlevania Lament of Innocence, the 2003 3D action adventure game for the PlayStation 2, detailing the quest of Leon Belmont and his fight against the monsters of the night to rescue his betrothed Sarah. Today, my goal for this video is simple. Not to convince you why Lament of Innocence is the best Castlevania game, as it is in my belief that there is no objective best, but simply to convey to you why I love this game so much. So please, if you could spare the time, allow me to share the love I have for this game with you. If you love this game such as I do, I hope that we can find camaraderie. If this is the first time you are hearing of Lament of Innocence, then I do hope that my passion can intrigue you enough to try out the game for yourself. So if no more words to be spoken in this prelude, let the video begin. First, as Lament of Innocence does, let us start at the beginning, with how I encountered the game and the role it plays in the Castlevania series. The tale begins sometime in early 2018, I think, when I was just a young lad determined to broaden my perspective on the field of games outside of Pokemon and Mega Man, or whatever else I lacked at the time. So I figured, why not start with Castlevania? I mean, this Simon Belmont is a classic and popular guy. I played his game some odd years back. This series seems pretty cool, and let's face it, could I really be a gamer if I didn't know Castlevania? So I got on with my research and I looked at the timeline, since I usually enjoy going through a series with some kind of order, and figured, since there aren't really any numbers in this series, I'll use a story to go along and start with the beginning of the timeline. Now I kinda had a gist of this whole Castlevania thing already. Spreads across generations of these Belmont guys, stopping Dracula from destroying the world. But the amount of the time that, the timeline goes across is just shy of 1,000 years. Something about such a strong, long-lasting legacy being started by one man really resonated with me. From the look on Leon Belmont's face, I could tell I was getting myself into something I would really enjoy, and would use as an inspiration in multiple aspects of my life. I know it sounds stupid, and you're probably rolling your eyes about this being another one of those white guy video essays about nothing. And, well, to be honest, that part was. But I really do promise that's the end of it, so don't worry. Anyway, on the topic of the game, it sets the setting and shows its strengths off really fast, putting its best foot forward as a hook. If you played many games, I'm sure an opening cutscene is something that you've come across once or twice, yeah? It's a great cinematic way to get a gaze into the world and situation of the game without having to read a bunch of dialogue. Lament of Innocence has both a pre-title cutscene explaining the background of the game, such as key characters, the drive of Leon, the antagonist, and so on. The way in which it is presented is like a narrated book of scrolling text with images showing in the background to present context. It speaks of two knights of legend, Leon Belmont and Matthias Kronqvist. The reign of dominance and the eventual tragedies that occurred to both of them that caused them to cease their efforts in their crusades. The arcadey of the way this cutscene is makes it feel like some kind of storybook or tavern story that's being told to you. I like the imagery of both of these options because these two knights were really known all throughout the land. So after the events of this game, this could be like some kind of retelling, or since the Belmont family went on to be quite well known, this is a record detailing Leon's first encounter with Dracula and how he came to get his whip. They say a picture paints 1,000 words, which is true, but the pleasure of painting 1,000 of pictures from a few words is in full swing here. In just a few moments, it puts us in a world away from the modern world screen, and into a tavern, the Belmont's archives, or wherever else could be imagined. Now, I know I'm here to share affection, but while the topic is here, I must provide one of my most major criticisms of the game, and it lies here at this pre-title cutscene. This whole cutscene holds such key information for the entire plot, to the point where if you don't take in the details it gives you, the ending won't make any sense. So the fact that you could completely skip it on the first time through, whether on purpose or by accident, seems like a critical oversight to me. Granted, the cutscene does play every time when you load the game up, but I'm getting off track. After starting the game and creating your file, another cutscene plays, a proper cutscene. It's all done with the in-game models and it's all very of the PS2 era. The movements and camera work are all over the top and exciting, and the voice acting audio is balanced in a way that makes it seem as if their conversations are being projected as if they're in some kind of theater. The slightly unnatural flow of their conversation, paired with the incredibly strong chords of strings and piano, provokes such emotion. All these things combined have each cutscene come across as a dramatic, beautiful play. I believe this is best seen in the act where the vampire killer is created. It's one of the longer scenes in the game, but it's a crucial moment that conveys immensely strong emotion.
It responded.
What are you saying? That's not possible.
There's no use hiding it, so I'll tell you plainly. That girl has been tainted by the vampire.
You're lying! That can't be!
Why would I lie to you? You must accept the truth.
Please, tell me you're lying.
The music aligning with the cutscenes is almost like a voice in a choir. Excuse my lack of official term usage as I lack the knowledge, but the main singer, in this case the voice of the characters, is incredibly talented on its own, providing direction and a tune to remember. However, once you add the choir in the background, that voice now has weight behind it, making it all the more powerful. The stages these cutscenes on are always so beautiful as well. That is because they are all taken from the in-game stages, and Lament of Innocence is a very great looking game. Aside from the forest and the shopkeeper/alchemist Ronaldo's cabin, the game takes place entirely in the castle of the main antagonist, Walter. Now Walter is an ancient and very powerful vampire, so he's had quite some time to get himself a nice place. The scenery here presents to you dark and dirty labs, gardens, with as much fantastical architecture as plants, grand halls and theaters, and the nicest looking sewers I've ever seen. Now, Lament of Innocence doesn't have any books or notes that you can find that give flavor text to the area, so you have to imagine what goes or what went down there. To explain this unintended activity, I'll use the best stage in the game, Anti-Soul Mystery Labs, as an example. First, what you gotta understand about Walter is that he's been alive for so long that he just got bored and spends his days making Knights play his mating rescuing games. They say the state of a man's house says a lot about the kind of person he is. If we apply that to Walter, we can grow to understand his mentality a bit more here in the Anti-Soul Mystery Labs. The lab does display intricate charts and graphs of science and tools of alchemy are in every nook and cranny of the level. However, the dust and cobwebs make one thing clear, that none of this stuff has been used in an incredibly long time. I wonder what the place looked like while still in use. Probably bustling with people, boiling their own urine, and collecting dust to try and turn it into gold or whatever else alchemists did. I don't know, man. But now we can see that Walter is too bored to even take interest in the sciences, or even cleaning his own place. I won't waste your time explaining what I could gather about Walter from the other areas, but from here we can see he's just bored and kind of neglectful of his living environments. The environmental storytelling here not only provides a way to immerse you, but also provides so many set pieces to fill a stage with life and engage the eye to make exploration and level traversing not become quickly boring. And that's something you'll come to appreciate, the value of beauty. If you are going for the 100% of the game, as each of the first 5 stages has a door that is only opened by a specific key that you get from a different stage, you'll be going back and forth a lot. I'm sure you could route it so you don't have to backtrack, but more often than not, especially if it's your first time playing, then you'll probably have to go and come back to a stage for one of these doors or a secret that's only accessible with certain items. The Garden Forgotten by Time is one of the stages that takes a bit more time to traverse compared to others, yet seeing the lush plants and moonlight makes it feel more like a midnight stroll than an annoying backtrack. The music is a great contributor to this. Most stages in Lament of Innocence have 2 songs that play at different parts of the stage. The Garden Forgotten by Time has 2 songs, and one of them is titled Fog Enshrouded Nightscape. It has the chirps of crickets as the ambience, and with the gentle harp and chimes, I find it to be so calming, and just absolutely love sitting there, listening. When I go out to my work early in the morning before sunrise, I'll listen to this, and it makes the cold, dark, and dread of work a little more bearable. Envisioning Lament of Innocence Fog Enshrouded Nightscape, let me envision my own, adding to my life. Despite this routine of mine, my favorite song is the theme of Leon Belmont, the titular song Lament of Innocence. This song plays during the final part of the final stage. It's a small area which I appreciate. A few rooms with strong enemies, a light puzzle, and then it's the stairs straight to the final fights of the game. It's a dramatic moment, right after the aforementioned cutscene of the creation of the vampire killer. Leon has just killed Sarah for the sake of good. The song's a true lament, crying out all of Leon's sorrow, but above that you can hear his resolve. It's incredibly reflective of his character, that even though things are objectively awful for Leon at this point, he's lost his title, property, love, and soon his best friend. And despite that, he remembers his purpose. He remembers what is right, and most importantly, he does what must be done for the sake of his morals. It shows that Leon is a true knight. Even when it is all said and done, Leon looks onward with that very same resolve that he's clearly had his whole life. It's subtly told, but he's such a human character, with immense struggles and concerns, and thanks to that, I'm able to see more eye to eye, and he's been an engine in my life to drive me to improve myself so that I may develop the same resolve and ability to stay with what I think is right no matter how hard things get. And when I hear Leon's theme, I can recall this moment of the final stage, being reminded of everything, including my goal. I think it's a magical theme that the songs and games we love can link us back to specific moments and memories. And with such a great OST that is within this game, I recall so many happy moments. But of course, an action-adventure game such as this is more than just music and story. I'm surprised I went so long talking about the one thing that I could not enjoy this game as I do were it absent. That is of course, the gameplay. As I'm sure you have seen in the video's background by now, the gameplay is very straightforward. Go into a room, enemies are there, beat them up, go into the next room. The primary way of taking enemies out is with the whip, obviously. You have a light attack and a heavy attack, and combining the buttons allows you to perform different combos, each with their own purpose. The cool thing is that these combos are unlocked throughout the game, meaning that you are always getting access to new tools to beat enemies up, keeping the gameplay feeling fresh. And when I say throughout the game, I mean it literally. Even on the last stage you get access to a new combo. The amount of combos suit every situation, and it quickly becomes intuitive. Your body automatically blending the quick, lights, and the damaging or combo extending heavies is something that will soon be a second nature gained by any player. If these combos get boring, you have another way of vanquishing the undead via the sub-weapons. Sub-weapons are a staple in the Castlevania series, and each game has a slightly altered set of sub-weapons. Some being very iconic such as the axe, cross, and holy water. And Lament of Innocence has been tasked with adapting these icons to better suit its fast-paced 3D format. Some of these 5 weapons are returning, such as the dagger and the aforementioned 3, but now there's the new sub-weapon as well, the crystal. The dagger and the holy water work how a lot of you imagine them to be, I believe. while the axe and the cross have been reworked to diversify what Leon can do, since a bunch of basic projectiles would be kinda boring. The cross became a shield, which is really cool, and the axe became a slow, higher damage, wider version of the dagger. Basically, the duel is cool, but let's cut to the chase and talk about what Lament of Innocence is really all about. The orbs. The orbs are the main gimmick of the game. These orbs alter the property of each of the sub-weapons, and with 7 orbs in total, this changes the 5 sub-weapons into essentially a total of 40 sub-weapons in total. You have so many different tools to play the game with and experiment to see which ones are good, bad, or just straight fun to use. Like the whip combos, you unlock these orbs as you go throughout the game, typically when you beat the boss. The levels in this game are non-linear, so you can start with any stage you like and continue on in any order you like. The acquisition method of the orbs and the fact that there are so many combinations add a form of replayability to Lament of Innocence. A reason why I enjoy coming back to this game. I get to try out sub-weapons I rarely use and or take different paths I never have before, so I go through stages with weapons I haven't used before or in a long time. Some are definitely better than others though, but here are some of my favorites for one reason or another. Sub-weapons serve the same role as in any Castlevania game, a sign that I consider they properly accomplish their function as they're supposed to. They serve as a power that you can call upon to give you the necessary force you need to survive to the next save point, or sub-weapons can just be spent to get rid of enemies you don't want to deal with, or they can give you combat options you didn't have before. All in all, I feel as if the sub-weapons are the most memorable part about the gameplay for most people. However, I am not of that opinion. For the coolest part of Lament of Innocence combat to me is by far the guarding. Crazy, right? The blocking of all things is the part that has really sold me on this. Really? Well, really. And I'll explain. The blocking is the function that really ties all these other mechanics together. For without the blocking, it would all be futile. Enemies would feel as if they had no counterplay, and they'd feel boring with such limited ways to interact with them. The way the blocking works is as expected. You hold the block button, you take a hit, you get knocked back, and so do they. But, if you time the block, and block right before the enemy attacks, you perform a perfect block. And then you take less hit stun and are able to act sooner. An additional bonus for perfect blocking is that you restore MP. It's in fact the only way to restore MP aside from items. With MP you could utilize relics, and each giving you a passive, bonus, or effect at the cost of draining your MP. Blocking is too much for you to handle, or not ideal for your situation, you can always do the classic PS2 dodge flips. These things are extremely strong, and you travel so much distance and they have so many iframes, but they don't give you MP though. I like the curve this block offers. I remember during my first time playing, perfect blocking was the tallest of orders for me, and I never really got to utilize the relic system very often. But in my subsequent times playing the game, I was moving like a pro and was able to destroy absolutely anything and everything with my perfect blocks. And though my ability in the game has vastly improved, that is not to say I go without difficulties, or the game has become too easy. Mostly against long stretches of enemies, or the various bosses that I do reach a little hiccup and end up dying on. Speaking of the bosses in this game, they're all great. There are a total of 13 bosses, but 2 of them are Doppelganger and he's more like a sub-boss that I don't really count, so we'll say 11 bosses. 5 of them are stage bosses, 4 are secret bosses, and the last 2 are final fights. To discuss some of my favorites and why I like them, I'd like to start with one of the secret bosses, the Fire Elemental. Well, all of the Elemental fights are pretty similar, but the Fire one's my favorite. The Fire Elemental has a very recognizable pattern, and it's a treat to get this down and engage in a dance using your dodge rolls, and then hitting with a brief counterattack before beginning the cycle again. It's all fair, and because it's simple, you'll get punished accordingly when you mess up. There's no cheap gimmicks. On the contrary, another great fight's the Succubus. This fight I believe to be fun for completely opposite reasons as the Elemental. Succubus doesn't really have a pattern as set as the Fire Elemental does, and instead throws out extremely habilitating attacks that inflict status conditions. It relies a lot on reaction and quick thinking to select the best option in the heat of the moment. It's a really high-octane fight that usually manages to catch me off guard a few times. There's also the second from last boss, Walter, who has the potential to be an incredibly fun fight, for a reason similar to the Fire Elemental. He's got a great pattern that once you learn, it's clockwork. Sadly, because of Walter's teleports, I think it messes up the camera. This is the one time in the game where the camera's really your enemy in a major way. And sadly, it just kills a portion of the fun in the fight. The camera was in a set position in each of the 4 corners and just jumped to the closest location that it's trying to go to instead of trying to follow Walter all the time. It probably would have saved the fight. It's supposed to be this big climactic fight. I really wish it was good. You are on the near final fight, the fight that will define the future. Well, at least the true final fight is good. Because if you remember earlier on, I said if you skip the opening cutscene, you'll have no clue what's going on. Well, that moment is this moment. Because once you defeat Walter, he isn't the final boss. After he's defeated, Matthias shows up for the first time in game. If you skip the opening cutscene, you'll have no idea who he is. But he shows up. And in the final segment of the game, starts to unfold. And though this is the beginning of the series, and the beginning of the series is my favorite, the end of the beginning is my absolute favorite part of the beginning of the series. But that's too much beginning. Anyway. To be brief, first, Walter is taunting Leon by saying he'll come back one day, stronger than ever too. However, Death shows up to vocalize, with a very physical method, his objection to Walter's idea. He takes Walter's soul and gives his soul to the power of the man who wields the Crimson Stone. That man happens to be none other than Leon's friend, Matthias. The elite execution of Lament of Innocence cutscenes that I had mentioned before makes Leon's encounter with the friend who used him and those he loved a must-watch play. Matthias' loss of his wife and the madness that it induced him with, madness that is plain to see as Leon watches this man express ideas that are surefire signs of his friend completely flipping his old, good values on their head. A madness that has driven his friend to do unspeakable things. And watching Leon piece together this puzzle in the moment, starting to understand what really, truly went on, he shows the exact reaction we had come to expect from his character. An extremely human reaction. One of shock, rage, sadness, disbelief, and disappointment. Yet as he rebukes the man who will become to known as Dracula, he does so with composure, with the grace of a true knight who knows the truth and good. Matthias has changed, and he truly believes the nonsense that he's saying to be just and right. This conversation is a clashing of ideals and a shattering of a friendship. Its beauty in viewing is akin to that of a sad movie, and enjoy it not for the happy tale it cannot tell, but for the retail that it does. Matthias acknowledges that Leon will not join him by sending death after Leon to kill him. But, of course, Leon eventually defeats the immortal death. And as the castle crumbles, Leon makes his escape, and the sun shines once more in the forests of the eternal night, and Leon walks away not looking back. But despite everything, he's looking forward. He's looking forward to that same result that he's always had. It's a lovely conclusion to the game that has delights to be found in every aspect. All these aspects of the game work together to provide a delightful experience, and thanks to that teamwork, I'm proud to say Lament of Innocence is my favorite Castlevania game.
I see. Give him this message. You have become a cursed being, and I will never forgive you. This whip and my kinsmen will destroy you someday. From this day on, the Belmont clan will hunt the night!